Welcome. Thank you for coming to our 41st annual Fall Symposium of the Native Plant Society of Texas. This year, we're celebrating conservation and community. Our mission, overall mission, has been since we started over 40 years ago, is to promote conservation, research, and utilization of native plants and habitats of Texas through education, outreach, and example. Tonight, we'll just go over a little bit of Zoom etiquette. Most of us have been Zooming for over a year, but doesn't hurt to have a reminder. Please stay muted. Please keep your video off. Your questions can be, you can ask questions in the chat, and you might want to take a moment and find your chat box. It's probably along a menu along the bottom of your screen. So find the chat box and see if you can figure out how to chat there. And some helpful hints. Every day you'll be receiving an email coming from Meg, and she will attach the agenda for the day and the Zoom link that will get you to all our presentations. It's the Zoom link. You're here now, so I guess you figured it out. The blue click here link. A good way to view the symposium is to choose the speaker side-by-side mode. You might want to do that. And moving on. I would like to introduce to you this evening Clarence Reed. He is our Vice President, Affiliations and Advocacy, and he has prepared a few remarks for us.
Thank you, Kim. Good evening, members and guests. After Winter Storm Uri and a year-long pandemic we've been experiencing, some of you may be wondering what, if anything, we have to celebrate. And that would be a legitimate question. I believe we have a lot to celebrate, and just maybe we have a new appreciation for the role that nature plays in our health and well-being in the future, and why we must redouble our efforts to conserve the trees, plants, streams, birds, and wildlife in a growing Texas. And that is where community enters the picture. As individuals and as an organization, we cannot do all that is necessary alone. We need each other, and we need to collaborate and partner with other like-minded individuals and organizations. That is the program concept that we have designed for the 2021 Fall Symposium. We have arranged for a variety of speakers that are engaged in community outreach, speakers that are advocates for Texas fish and wildlife habitat, and speakers that are educators working with children and young adults to teach the next generation of conservation leaders in Texas. Finally, I want to thank all of our presenters and others who have contributed their time and talent to make this symposium possible. So fasten your seatbelts and enjoy the ride for the next 5 days. Kim?
Thank you, Clarence. All right, we're ready to go. Uh-oh, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Clarence, will you tell us about what we're going to start with tomorrow morning?
Yes, our first presenter is Elizabeth Bowerman and Helen Ballou. Elizabeth is a former retired naval commander. She was a member and a past president of the Lindheimer chapter of Native Plant Society. She was instrumental in the formation of the Comal County Conservation Alliance in May 2018. And she's currently serving as president of the Comal County Conservation Alliance. Helen has been actively involved in all the conservation activities in the Austin-San Antonio corridor along the Balcones Escarpment and surrounding areas, but mostly in Comal County. She's worked with the Nature Conservancy, Hill Country Foundation, Save Our Springs Alliance, and the headquarters of the San Antonio River. So she is presently a conservation consultant to Comal County Conservation Alliance. So they're going to discuss the mission statement of their organization and the challenges represented by rapid population growth in Central Texas. This last weekend, I was at a short program with the Hill Country Alliance, and Comal County and Hays County are two of the, if not the fastest growing counties in the state of Texas. and that presents challenges that they're going to address. So that will be the first program. At 10 o'clock, we will hear from Sarah Coles, Executive Director of Texas Children and Nature Network. She has been involved in education for at least the last 15 years. And she began in the classroom. And at that time, after that, her instructional activity involved museum and nature center environments, Corpus Christi Museum of Science and History, Texas Parks and Wildlife State Coordinator for Texas Children and Nature, etc. So she is going to tell us about the mission of Texas Children and Nature to ensure access and connection to nature for all the children in Texas, and will explain how this happens through working with their partners across the state of Texas. My third presenter, or go ahead, we'll come to that in a minute when you go.
Okay, so then we get to Thursday. In between speakers, we have two wonderful field trips, and Paula Stone's going to tell us about these.
Paula, you'll need to unmute yourself. Sorry.
Oh, she's still muted. Still muted.
You're muted.
There you go. Okay.
The first field trip is with Jill Noakes. She's retired now, but she was an outstanding conservation consultant. And this particular field trip is at her personal property, which they've owned and worked on for, I think, 20 something years. So we just walk over the property and we go by a creek and on some hills and various meadows and things. And she just talks about what was there when she got there, what she did to it, and how it benefits the wildlife and nature. So that's a very interesting one if you have property acreage. The second one, attract pollinators in your garden. That's with Gracie Wagner. She runs the pollinator garden here at the Fredericksburg Nature Center. She supervised putting it in and has been in charge of the maintenance. It's a volunteer effort, but she's led this effort for a long time. So we walk around this small garden that's comparable to some people's backyards. I mean, a lot of people have backyards that small. And she tells about the different plants and why she chose those, and a little bit about the maintenance and upkeep on them. So that one's perfect if you have a smaller city yard, or if you just want a butterfly garden.
Paula, I've been there twice, and that is a beautiful garden.
They do a great job with it, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and they have a rainwater catchment system, and it's truly amazing. Okay, then in the Thursday afternoon and evening session, you want to tell us about the 3:30 and 4:30 sessions, Clarence, please?
Yes. Our third presenter is Rachel Rommel-Crump. She is the state coordinator for Texas Alliance for America's Fish and Wildlife. Rachel holds a master's degree in wildlife science from Texas A&M University. And now in her current position, she's working with a growing coalition of over 165 organizations to support wildlife and habitat conservation, nature education, and outdoor recreation, which is ecotourism is a huge economic benefit in the state of Texas. She's going to talk about pending bipartisan legislation in the Congress called the Recovering America's Wildlife Act. It will be a significant investment. She's going to tell us more about it and how we can participate, contact our representatives, etc. But it is very important. There's over 12,000 species of greatest conservation need, including 1,300 in the state of Texas alone. She will be making a video presentation because she had a conflict and was not able to be in person. But Richard Heilbrunn, the Conservation Outreach Program Leader for Texas Parks and Wildlife, will join in and will be available to answer any questions concerning her presentation or the Recovering America's Wildlife Act. And our final speaker is someone I think that some of the chapters may already know because she's made a presentation, I think, to the Blackland Prairie or North Timbers up in the north part of the state. And that is Dr. Allison Ravenscraft. She is an assistant professor at University of Texas, Arlington, and principal investigator at the Ravenscraft Lab. She has a bachelor's from Harvard, a PhD from Stanford, and postdoctoral work at the University of Arizona. She is going to talk about the interplay between native plants, native insects, and microbes. This is going to be a very scientific topic, I think, and we'll explore how all of these host plants and chemistry and insects and their interrelationship with native plants. So that, I think, should be a very, very interesting scientific type of a presentation for those of you that are citizen scientists. So
It is an excellent presentation. I've seen it, and he changes it every time, though, as speakers tend to do. Our speaker for tomorrow evening is Dee Dee Wright, who is a longtime leader in the society and founded the New Bronzeville chapter several years ago. And she's going to be speaking about invasive plants and what can you do about invasive plants, what plants are good to plant instead of commonly sold invasive plants. So we have, if you were unaware, the Native Plant Society has come out with an invasive plant position statement, and Dee Dee will be going over that with us and what we can do about invasive plants. So that'll be a good talk. So we have a great lineup of speakers on Thursday, and then Friday morning, Paula.
Okay, our first speaker Friday morning is Cheryl Smith Rogers. I found her because I followed her blog for several years. She writes some children's books, which are charming, but she has a great blog, and it's called Window on a Texas Wildscape. And it's basically about her yard and the lot beside it and what she and her husband have done over the years and the various wildlife and everything. So if you follow her blog, there are lots that you'll find out that she loves spiders. There are a lot of spider photos and different insects and things and how they relate to the plants. So she's a charming speaker, and she will also be there. And I forgot to mention, Jill Noakes will also be live, even though it's a video presentation, they will be live to answer questions afterwards. So be sure and save up some good questions for Cheryl, because she's very knowledgeable. Then at 10 o'clock, Daniel Oppenheimer and Ryan McGillicuddy, who are both with the Hill Country, well, Daniel is with the Hill Country Alliance and Ryan is with Texas Parks and Wildlife. But they will be speaking about a new model for riparian stewardship, some new things that have been learned and how best to take care of any waterways that you might have in your property, large or small. So they're both very good speakers, and I think that will be enjoyable. Okay, then at 1:30, we have a tour of Maggie Living's yard. Maggie lives out toward Enchanted Rock, and so she's kind of on the granite, and she has the luxury of being a long ways from anybody. So she doesn't have to deal with HOAs or any of that nonsense, just deer. And she and Hal built their place probably 20 or so years ago, and it has been wildscaped the entire time. So she just walks us around the landscape, and there again tells us what she planted, why she planted it, how old it is, what she loves about it, what she would do differently. So I have found that yard tours like that, for me personally, have been very helpful, because you see people's solutions to problems that are a lot of times the same problems you face in your own yard. And they're right there when you can ask questions. And Maggie will be available to answer questions. Then, I took them out of order, didn't I? The morning one is the same thing with Kathy Saucier. And Kathy she's a real plant nerd. I mean, she loves to propagate plants. Anybody who knows her, you'll see her little plant corral. She cannot weed out a native plant. She has to put it in a pot and raise it on. So she talks a lot about that, about propagation and things like that. But there again, very, very interesting speaker, very interesting yard. Okay, then at 3:30, we have Rachel Lindsay, and she's with the Hill Country Conservancy. She will be talking about ash juniper and how we went through a period where it was very misunderstood, and a lot of things that we may have learned 20 years or so ago are not actually right. And so there, a lot of the new information is redeeming the reputation of ash juniper. So that's what she talks about.
Very nice. Thank you. What a great lineup of speakers. Then on Friday evening, we have our annual meeting of members. This is something that we have to do according to our bylaws, and we've turned it into a fun evening. You'll meet the leadership, see what all committees we have on the state level, and think about which ones you want to be on. You'll get to hear Meg Ingalls talk about her expectations about being our new incoming executive director. We'll highlight some innovations. We, of course, have lost members over the past year, and we have a short in memoriam. And we've had a banner year with our grants and scholarships. And so that's a very exciting thing. And Kimber Koshek will be telling us about them. And we'll get to hear from the first recipient of the Dr. Alfred Richardson Scholarship, Brand Richter. And he'll be talking about campus oak restoration. And the Ann Miller Gonzalez grant recipient, Kelly Carroll, will talk about methods to control KR bluestem. And I'm really looking forward to that because I have some on my property. Then if you have entered a contest, be it a newsletter, video, or photo, we will show the newsletters. We won't open every page and read them to you, that we couldn't do that. And we won't show all the videos this year. That didn't quite work for us. But we will show you every single photo that was entered in the photo contest. So if you've entered one, be sure to come. And I think I've learned this year how to actually keep them on for 4 seconds apiece. So that'll be good. And then Saturday morning, oh, I didn't tell you, that's live on YouTube. So Friday night is free and open to the public. We really want to encourage every single member of the Native Plant Society to come to our annual meeting. And all our members were sent a link to the minutes from last year and the agenda, a more detailed agenda than what I just reviewed. We will have another live on YouTube, free and open to the public. And this is a must for all our new members, and I hope everyone will come. We'll be reviewing some of our state level programs. Carol Clark, who's an excellent speaker, will talk. We'll go over the NICE program. Meg will do the NLCP program, and Bill will talk about the BioBlitz challenge and how that is evolving. This is our 3rd year to do it, so I think he's going to have some data for us. And then directly after that, for the registered recipients, Sam Kieschnick, who is a favorite speaker in the North Texas area, will be talking about magnificent moths and how to create your habitat for moths. Always talk about the butterflies and hummingbirds and what have you, but moths are really cool and interesting, and that's a Luna moth you see there. So Sam's going to tell you how to find out the cool moths that your wildlife habitat will also bring in. Then on Saturday afternoon, do you want to tell us about Rufus, please, Paula? And your
yes, Rufus will be speaking to us about how to use native plants to attract native birds. He's a very interesting speaker, and he's also the co-author of a book entitled Attracting Birds in the Texas Hill Country. And if you love birds, you probably already have it. But if you think you might love birds, you probably ought to get it. It's he wrote it with Jan Reed, and it is an excellent source of what to plant to attract specific things. If you particularly want painted buntings, you have to plant cupgrass. I didn't know that, but now I've planted cupgrass. So he's an interesting speaker. You might want to take notes with him for sure. Then the next thing is a film in memory of Bill Lindemann. So that's still kind of a touchy subject for me. I did a longer film with Bill, and he wasn't able to finish it. So this is just a very short version of that. And then me talking about some of his many, many accomplishments.
That nature center is amazing. And Bill took my niece, Corinne and I on a walk there about 3 years ago. If you have never been to this walk, you can do it in about 45 minutes or an hour or longer, take your time. But they have really transformed this riparian area that you are able to walk through 7 different microhabitats. So I'm really looking forward to this tribute to a wonderful man and quite a loss for our society to lose Mr. Lindemann. And then on Saturday evening, we will have our annual awards and contest presentation. It's live on YouTube. So we hope that you'll come on YouTube with your friends and get some popcorn and enjoy the evening where we get to recognize the individuals that support our mission, support and advance our mission. And these are amazing people who have done great things. We'll recognize them for their excellence in writing and communication, conservation, art, herbarium collection specimens, public service, and lifetime achievement. And then we get to find out who won the contest and what chapter is chapter of the year. So that'll be a fun evening. And we have like 9 minutes left. That's what we're going to do for the symposium. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for registering and coming. Your registration will help our programs. And I'm hoping to drive a lot of that to the I-35 way stations, which we'll talk about that more Friday night. Maybe some pictures of the opening then. Oh, and this is actually one more slide. Sunday, we have chapter events. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different chapter events that I know of. There may be more. So your chapter may be having an event. But if you're anywhere near the Woodlands, Pines and Prairies is offering 2 events. The Clear Lake chapter has a field trip to the Marathon Petroleum Habitats, which was an award winner a few years ago in our symposium for the Native Star Award. I would like to see that home tour. Green Star Farms is an award winner this year. I don't know about Booty Bounty or the Plant Walk. And I'm going to be leading the Prairie Saunter in North Central. So there is a link in the email that you got yesterday, if you remember, to a PDF that has people on there that you can contact about any of these. So that is our last preparatory slide and introduction to what we're doing in our symposium. Ricky Lennox will be our speaker, and he will be coming on in 6 minutes, I think. Is that about 6 minutes? Why don't we take a break? And then at 7 o'clock, Bill Hopkins will come and introduce Ricky to everyone.